The manga starts with us seeing a normal gym, and here everyone was working out so hard that their blood and sweat were one, and as everyone was focusing on each rep and making sure their workout counts, our scene swoops to a man who was doing a cable bench press. However, he was too busy looking somewhere else, and mere exercise was not something that he was too focused on. As he glances over to a cute figure, who could heal all pain, he shares how he can't stop looking at the chubby trainer who nags at everyone. Later, as he was doing a cable pull-down, he made sure that every fiber of his back felt the stretch to the maximum extent. As this seemed like the last rep, he lets out a grunt, and from the side, a girl approaches him and asks about him. As our beautiful main female protagonist praises his ripped physique, she walks closer to him. He greets Sheena, and exclaims how the pull-down machine has made his body into the figure it looks like right now. As she was obviously short, she glances above and she looks at him and started to ask if there are any machines that are malfunctioning, and if he is having a hard time around them. On the other hand, our man of culture was intensely staring at the timid soul. She points out and tells him that he has been staring at her a lot, and asks if there is any complaint that he is maybe hiding and wants to share. She confronts him and asks if he has something that he would like to specifically say to her, and if there is a reason for his intense glares at her since last week. As she looks at him with a dead look, she urges him to speak up. He goes silent for a minute, and it looked like he was holding on for dear life, but then he snapped and started to explain why he has been staring at her, and how it is regarding her physique, and how he is new to seeing a chubby staff member. However, Sheena's switch flips off, and she interrupts him and tells him that she is not chubby at all. As she looked through his poor soul, they both kept awkwardly staring at each other. As she shakes her body a little, she starts to explain to him in a cute way about how she is actually just a little plump, and that it is so little that it can go unnoticed. She starts to explain the real reason she ended up a tiny bit plump, and that was 3 months ago when she started a job at a steakhouse. And although she joined this gym for a year, the food that they served was devilishly good, and she couldn't keep up with the amount of food that she ate. And slowly the exercise that she did just didn't do the trick. As he himself related how the steakhouse and delicious smell of fresh cooked meat really does the most damage, she drills down her best points, and how she is actually a pro at customer service, and she is also praised a lot for that. As she said this, she reminds him again about how she is not chubby at all. As she was about to leave, she asked him if he has anything else he would like to talk about, and with a firm voice he tells her that chubby girls are the best in the world. As his voice even made us respect him, there was a great amount of power and truth behind his voice that I can't explain. He then began to elaborate, perhaps with a touch of scientific enthusiasm, that while her physique might not fit typical gym ideals, there was an undeniable charm. He spoke of her healthy, rounded form, the way her clothing draped softly, and even the sweet little mole near her midriff, explaining how, in his view, these were simply beautiful and often overlooked qualities. He grew more fervent, describing how her arms, with their natural curves, and the gentle definition of her triceps, had a unique appeal that many might miss. He expressed a touch of sadness, explaining how many don't share this appreciation and often overlook the charms of a curvy figure. He reminded her about classic Western paintings, where many figures had a fuller build, suggesting that this appreciation for a more rounded form has a long and valued history, and even the legendary painters and artists loved them. This means that this devotion has transcended through the very history of mankind. His last sentence hits the grand mark, and he tells her that chubby girls are just a work of art. As a beautiful painting confirms the fact that he is a little crazy about chubby girls, he lets her know that these things make her beautiful. With a sad voice she started to tell him that nobody ever told her anything like that, and oftentimes, people made fun of her and said rude things about her, but then with a cute pose and blushes, she reminds him again that she is not chubby at all. As these two actually need to marry right now, he approaches her and thanks her for listening to the deep thoughts that he manifested for a whole ecstatic week. He tells her that this talk had made his day bright, and then they both exchanged more kind words with each other. The next day, he again sees the beautiful Sheena, and as he was squatting some weight he was just looking at her, like he is seeing her for the first time. He was so glad that this Jim had her. Sheena ended up with him one more time and she started her survey and asked if he has moved here. He replies and lets her know that he moved here for work, and with happy tone he lets her know that he is very blessed with the choice that he had to make. As she looks at the lost soul, she goes along and from the side a girl asks her to assist her with the rotary torso machine. This exercise, most likely, is used to train the torso. The lower compartment of this machine is movable. The cable attached to it pulls the weight when the person sitting on it pulls it using his torso. As she adds how this machine can be confusing for the new user, she sits on it and increases the weight. As she sits and starts to use it, she explains how they use this to train the torso. Now Sheena was explaining about a useful machine, but the author of this manga had different ideas about this. As she rotates her torso, she shares how the twist can be a bit sudden. The author ended up grabbing every single angle of this site. After doing countless reps, poor Sheena was done for the day, and had so much sweat that our main protagonist would definitely buy it with all his money. She lets out a big sigh, and gets up and all drenched in sweat and out of breath. And as always, he was staring at her intensely, and deep down he was so happy for being alive that we can just see that from his eyes and expression. He didn't even have the time to make a face and wanted to just focus on her. She points out and lets him know that she can't work properly when he is staring at her always, and he apologizes. However, he ends their talk with a deadly counter and tells her that he can look at her for the rest of his life. As he obviously said the magic words, she mutters something and our dense Sheena exclaims how he actually wants to see her until she is old. He reminds her again that he can't take his eyes off of her. The next day, she kept bothering him as he was using the treadmill, and she asks him in a serious voice what chubbiness really is. As her request shocks him a bit, she tells him to explain it to her, so she can prove to him that she is not chubby. He tells her how he can't do it right now, and she is working as well, and she tells him how she is actually available and can debate now. After hearing this important remark, he goes over to the nearby bench and starts to explain the equation that he likes. He tells her that before he could explain anything, he needs to explain her just why he loves chubby girls so much. But as he was about to write, he realized that it would take hours to explain, and he lets her know that he would do it later. He goes back to the topic and he requests her to do something before they start, and in the next instant, he tells her to repeat after him that chubby girls are the best. As she looks at his lost soul one more time, she was sure that humanity is done for, and the silence reminded him to continue. He writes something down, and explains how the definition of chubbiness is found within every single one of us. He starts to explain how he thinks of chubbiness, and a thing pops in his mind. He draws a tummy and exclaims how this is the most important part. He specially pointed out how the fat that hovers over the tight outfit is the perfect evidence of chubbiness. He adds how this beautiful detail that God added is something that fascinates him to this day. She herself glances over to her stomach and confirms that her tummy is a bit over as well. She demands him to go over the numbers, but from the side someone calls out to her. Their girl asks them both about the things that they are talking about. As the girl kept on flexing her muscle, Sheena calls out to the person behind the bench, and from the side a muscular and a beautiful girl comes out and tells them how this is a difficult topic. She adds how chubbiness is a pretty hard topic many people debate on. She introduces herself to him and requests Sheena to let her join the conversation as well. She starts to come up with a plan to settle the debate about a chubby person, and Sheena ends up snitching on him and exclaims how he has been calling her chubby over and over again for days. As they both glare at each other, the muscular girl looks at Sheena's shiny tummy and comes up with a dangerous plan. She points out to them both and comes up with a plan to settle the debate by making Kadoka touch Sheena's stomach. As they both hear this, they go mute for some time. And she explains how this is the easiest method. She adds how this could be a bit inappropriate, but he interrupts her and shouts that he is okay with this. She glances over and mutters how this could be a thing where the person can feel it and accept it. She agrees as well, and as she sits down, she tells him to be gentle and further adds that it is not like she is chubby in the first place. As he blushes, he asks if she is really okay. He mutters how he feels unworthy to touch the great Sheena. He kneels down and tells her that he would start with her permission. As he tries to touch her shiny tummy with a finger, he hesitates for a minute, but as he grabs her soft, plump tummy, he starts to pinch it slightly, and he ends up enjoying pinching it over and over. He notices that he has been doing the pinch tradition for a bit too long, and as he glances ahead, with a cute and somewhat angry voice she tells him how she never said to pinch her. She tells him that he is disqualified, and both of them start to argue once more. And Hayes, on the other hand, knew that they should just get married,